Two Minds. Episode 1. The Two Machines. A hospital corridor at night. Two doors at the end of the hall. A doctor stands between them with a chart in her hand and 90 seconds to decide. The chart is full of numbers. Survival rates. A note from another physician. A warning written in language that sounds precise until a life depends on it. Her eyes move across the page, but she is not really reading anymore. She is choosing. In the close-up, the important thing is not her face. It is the pupil. It widens. Not because she wants it to. Not because she has decided to reveal anything. It widens because thought has a cost, and the body has started paying it. She turns left. Before we understand that decision, we need to understand the machinery that made it feel like a decision. Look at this face. You already know something about her. You know she is angry. You know you would not want to interrupt her. You may even have an instant prediction about what she is about to say next. You did not choose to know these things. You did not inspect the angle of her eyebrows, calculate the pressure in her jaw, or measure the narrowing of her eyes. The answer arrived whole, fast, effortless, confident. Now try something else. 17 times 24. You know what kind of problem this is? You know you could solve it. The answer does not arrive in the same way. You have to hold one number in mind, move to the next, carry something, check something, maybe start again. You can feel the difference. The face happened to you. The multiplication requires you. The answer is 408. But the answer is not the point. The point is that, in less than 30 seconds, you have experienced two different modes of thought. Psychologists often call them System 2. These are not brain regions. They are not two tiny people arguing inside your skull. They are names for two kinds of mental operation. System 1 is fast, automatic, always on. It reads faces, hears danger in a tone of voice, completes familiar phrases, flinches at sudden sound, and tells you that 2 plus 2 is 4. System 2 is slow, effortful, deliberate. It follows instructions, compares options, searches memory, performs calculations, and checks whether an answer that feels right is actually right. The person you usually think of as you, the one who reasons and chooses and explains, is closest to System 2. But System 2 is not always first in line. Most of the time, System 1 gets there first. And System 2 often arrives later, not like a commander, but like a press secretary. It explains what already felt true. In the late 1960s, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky began turning this private experience into a scientific method. They were not watching strangers make mistakes from a distance. They made the mistakes themselves. They invented questions, answered them intuitively, and then examined the answers like evidence at a crime scene. Their laboratory was often a walk through Jerusalem. Their instruments were ordinary questions. And the thing they kept finding was not that people are foolish. It was more interesting than that. People are economical. The mind spends effort only when it has to. And one of the strange achievements of Kahneman's early work was that he found a way to see that effort happen. Not by opening the skull, by looking into the eye. In a 1960s laboratory, subjects listened to strings of digits. 5, 2, 9, 4. Their task was simple to describe and difficult to perform. Add 1 to each digit, keep the sequence in memory, and report the result in rhythm. 6, 3, 0, 5. As the task grew harder, the pupil widened. With each step, the dark center of the eye opened further. At peak effort, it could be dramatically larger than it had been at rest. Then the subject gave the answer. The effort ended. The pupil contracted. For a moment, thought had become visible. That image matters because System 2 does not work for free. Checking costs something. Resisting an easy answer costs something. Holding a problem in mind costs something. And when effort has a price, the mind starts looking for discounts. This would be fine if System 1 were merely fast. The problem is that System 1 is also confident. In 1999, psychologists Christopher Chabris and Daniel Simons asked people to watch a short video of two teams passing basketballs. One team wore white shirts. The other wore black. The instruction was simple. Count the passes made by the players in white. People focused. They counted. They tried to be accurate. And while they were doing that, a person in a gorilla suit walked into the middle of the scene, faced the camera, beat its chest, and walked away. About half the viewers did not see it. Not because they were careless, because they were paying attention. Attention is not a light that illuminates everything. It is a spotlight. Okay? And when the spotlight is aimed at counting passes, something obvious can walk through the dark. The most unsettling part is not that people missed it. The unsettling part is that many were sure they would not have missed it. We are not only blind to the obvious, we are blind to the fact that we are blind. That is the first lesson of the two machines. You do not have direct access to everything your mind is doing. You have access to the story it gives you afterward. Here is another test. A bat and a ball cost $1.10 in total. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Let the answer appear. Do not calculate yet. Just notice what your mind offers you. For many people, the answer that appears is 10 cents. It is simple. It is fluent. It feels right, and it is wrong. If the ball costs 10 cents, and the bat costs $1 more than the ball, the bat costs $1.10. Together, they cost $1.20. The ball costs 5 cents. The bat costs $1.05. Together, they cost $1.10. This problem is not difficult because the math is hard. It is difficult because an easy answer gets there first. System 1 sees $1.10, here's $1 more, and produces 10 cents. Then System 2 has a job. Check it, but checking takes effort. And if the answer feels good enough, System 2 often signs it without reading the document. The Tanbal problem does not show that people are bad at arithmetic. It shows something more intimate. It shows the moment when confidence replaces verification. It shows how an answer can be wrong and still feel clean. It shows that a mistake can enter your mind not as a suspicion, but as a fact. The two machines are not enemies. You need the fast one. Without it, every face would be a research project. Every sentence would be a puzzle. Every footstep on a dark street would require a committee meeting. System 1 keeps the world usable. It compresses experience into guesses, and most of the time those guesses are good enough. But good enough is not the same as true. And the modern world is full of situations where a guess that feels good enough can become dangerous. A court hearing, a market panic, a marriage, a vote. The same machinery that reads anger in a face can read intention into a stranger, skill into a confident speaker, danger into a vivid story, and certainty into a number it has not checked. That is where this series is going. Not into a list of tricks, into the architecture of judgment. The question is not whether you can avoid System 1. You cannot. The question is whether you can learn to notice the moment when System 1 has already answered, and System 2 is only beginning to wake up. Return to the hospital corridor. The doctor is still in her hand. The chart is still in her hand. The two doors are still waiting. What looks, from the outside, like a single choice is actually a collision of processes. Recognition, memory, fatigue, trust, the face of a colleague, the number on a chart. The story that feels complete because the missing pieces are invisible. In this episode, you saw the first part of the machinery. Fast thought arrives before permission. Slow thought can check it, but checking has a cost. In the next episode, we follow that cost. We return to the pupil. We watch effort rise and collapse. And we ask what happens to a decision when the mind still has to choose, but the part of you that checks the answer is already tired.